All right, so here are some additional tricks. I call it tricks because I don't think these are as important as the core values, although you can argue that in some ways they are related. So some of you may know that I was a missionary for my church back when I was 19 and 20 years old. I was a missionary at New York City. And I had a great leader. We called him our mission president. And when we were done with our 2 years of service as a missionary, where we did it voluntarily with our own money, a day before we went home, he would have all the missionaries who were going home gather and give us advice. And my mission president was very smart, very intelligent, a really good person, a really good example, and a very, very successful business leader in Canada. Very successful, multimillionaire, and had a lot of responsibilities and very successful in the corporate world. And I still remember him getting all of the 20, 21-year-olds and giving us advice because a lot of us were unsure. What do we do afterwards? I mean, we're going to go back to school. Maybe some will go, and work. How do we, be successful at our post-missionary life? So I'm sharing some personal things because I think these stories help us in better connecting, and you can, understand me a little bit more and understand my perspectives more. And there were few advice that he gave me then. And I thought, well, he gave me and the team, and I thought, what a stupid advice, was what I was thinking in my head, although I was trying to smile and be respectful. But deep inside, I'm like, what? These are the advice that you're giving me? I thought you would have more. Is honestly what I thought. But, after I came home from my mission, I went to school, right? I worked, I went to school, and then I started businesses one after another. And then I realized, you know what? The advice that my mission president gave me, although I didn't just realize at the time, it was very, very wise. And it took me time to understand. And maybe some of you guys are like, Michael, it's so obvious. You should already know this. But for me, it took me a long time to really appreciate what he has said. A lot of things in life that really make a big difference are very simple things. But it's the most simple things that make some of the biggest difference in the world, right? Scientific communities like that, some simple fundamental truths govern the whole universe. Very, very few very simple rules and laws, right? Laws of thermodynamics and other things, right? Okay, in business too, I feel like, few simple things can really make a big difference. So I outlined some of these and I call them tricks. It's based on some core principles, I'm sure, but I call them tricks in this course, and I group them. So one, tricks 1 to 3 are those that was passed down by my mission president, but I think this is applicable. One, come to work a bit earlier than everyone else. Second, finish your work a bit later than everyone else. 3, dress a little bit better than everyone else. So when I got this, I'm like, what? What? But, as I've managed a lot of different organizations, as I started a lot of companies, as I have seen a lot of employees and executives, I found that, we're all humans with emotions. These things do make a big difference in perception. And perception sometimes is as important as the real you. How you're perceived sometimes is as important as who you really are. Okay? So why is that important? Let's spend some time thinking about that. Why is it important for you to start work a little bit earlier than everyone else? Well, let me tell you what most of the people do. Let's say work starts at 8 a.m. What do most people do? They clock in right at 8 a.m. Sometimes they clock in at 8:01, 8:02, 8:03, 8:05 a.m. And a lot of times, they spend half an hour, 1 hour, getting getting into, their seats, getting comfortable, checking emails, like getting their minds ready. They had a long weekend, long evening. They had a lot of fun. Their mind is still somewhere else and they're trying to get back. Your supervisor, knows this. And, when they send out an email on the weekends, they know by the time you respond whether you are generally productive after 10 a.m., 9 a.m., 8 a.m., right? They know. And they know when you're clocking out too. So if you see someone who consistently get back, let's say at around 7:50 a.m., you're already starting out with a very strong positive impression. Like, whoa, this person is not only struggling to clock in right at 8, they came in early. Not only that, their mind is already in the productive state. Whoa, something's different about this person, right? If that person consistently clocks in at 4:50 a.m. when the work starts at 8, you might be like, huh? Right? But it's 7:54 a.m., 7:50 a.m. Yeah, that's good, right? Makes a huge difference in perception. And that perception will go a long way. Even if you make the same mistakes, if you have that higher perception, you have a higher emotional bank balance. So you can absorb that shock. Whereas if you're always clocking it at 8:05 a.m., you may think it's a small difference, but to the supervisor, it's a huge, huge, huge difference on someone who responds their email at 7:50 a.m. or someone who consistently replies after 9 a.m. You don't want to be labeled as someone that, oh, you send that person, you don't hear back. You don't want to be labeled as someone, oh, yeah, you sent that email? Oh, when did you send? Oh, yeah, you'll hear back the next day, next morning, probably around 9 or 10. Oh, you don't want to be labeled that person, right? That's why it's important for you to stay in tune with the things that were outlined above. So anyway, come to work a little bit earlier than everyone else, because not only you're making a better impression to your supervisor, also to your colleague. You're going to be seen as someone who is responsive, responsible, someone who is prompt, all positive attributes. No one's going to think, whoa, you came to work 10 minutes early because you have nothing to do, you're a loser. They're not going to do that, right? They're going to respect you, and that respect will go a long way. Although it just took 5 minutes, 10 minutes, waking up a little bit early or getting out of your house a little bit early. Huge difference in your career. Same thing with number 2, finish your work a bit later than everyone else. Everyone clocks in at 5. Don't clock in right at 5. People who clock in right at 5 are people who don't like their work. Supervisor knows that too. People who clock in before 5, they are not interested in the company long term, right? That's unless your work schedule is having you work like at 4 a.m. to like noon, that's a different story. But if it is 8 to 5 job and you're clocking in consistently at 4 or 4:30, something is wrong with you, right? You shouldn't do that. Okay, so if most of the people are clocking in at 5, yeah, maybe spend another 10 minutes, 15 minutes to kind of clean, organize, plan for the next day, check your email and make sure you're staying on top. And it could even be like, you're organizing your thought and doing a reflection on how the day went. I don't care what it is. As long as you're, using that time, not just to pretend, but to really stay productive and going the extra miles, it helps. Okay, number 3, dress a bit better than everyone else. This kind of depends. I think in a tech company, depending on where you live, I've seen tech companies where the CEOs are walking in with basketball shorts and flip-flop. I love flip-flop. So if I'm the CEO, I'm gonna just wear flip-flop and shorts, and I'm gonna just expect my employees not to judge me based on how I look. I want them to judge me based on my decisions and intelligence, not how I look. So, I think over the years, this has kind of been toned down, especially in the tech sector. But the dress code here recommended is not dress really nice all the time. It's just a little bit better than everyone else. So if everyone's wearing flip-flop, do you need to come in suit? No, just a little bit. better than other people. So if everyone's wearing, I don't know, just make your own decision, just slightly better than everyone else, because you don't want to stand out as a weirdo in your team where you're always dressed so much nicer than everyone else. That's weird. Just dress a little bit better than everyone else, and that's fine, right? And then everyone else, meaning everyone else in your team, right? And again, that depends on the company culture and other things. Um, but it's not a good idea to dress a little bit poorly than everyone else. That's usually not good, right? So, um, yeah. Anyway, I'll leave that up to you, right? Find the standard that the team is at, just a little bit better, right? Not like twice better than everyone else, just a little bit better. And I think that's a good tip. I've included some other tip. Number 4, check your email during evenings. Be willing to spend up to 30 to 60 minutes per evening to do some work. I think this is very common for most of the professionals where you're doing a little bit of work during the evening. And not just checking email, but doing real work, right? So, volunteer, be proactive in your responsibilities, and really, do some work. And sometimes it's just following up. Sometimes it's, checking on people. Sometimes it's just checking on email to see if there's any update or email that requires your attention. What is not appropriate for you is just shut off your evening and not do any work at all. Not acceptable for professionals. Number 5, check your email during Saturday and be willing to spend up to 30 to 6 minutes during the weekend to do some work. For me, I don't work on Sunday, so I don't expect people to work on Sunday either. But if I send something on Saturday, I expect a response in Saturday. I don't expect you to respond on Monday morning. Now, if I send something at Saturday morning at 4 a.m., do I expect you to respond within hours? No, but I still expect you to send me something on Saturday. Okay? If I ask you for a full report, I don't expect a full report on Saturday, but I would like to at least get an email saying, yes, I got it, Michael. Noted. Or understand, Michael. Right? Something simple. Letting me know that you got it. I do not want to get a few days late and say, oh, Michael, by the way, I forgot to blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you forgot. That shows a sign that you don't care. Okay? Care enough about the company, enough about your team, that you're willing to spend 30 to 60 minutes per every evening and on Saturday. And those little things will go a long way. Okay? Number 6, arrive at meetings 5 to 10 minutes early. There are some people who are consistently late a few minutes to the meeting, gives you a very poor impression. Okay, maybe 5 to 10 minutes depending on the meeting. That's for a physical meeting. If it is online, maybe that's too early, but you want to be there maybe 1 or 2 minutes early to the online meetings, and that really lets people know that you're prompt and you're respectful of other people's time. So those are some additional tricks for you. Of course, there are a lot of different tricks, and some of the things that you can learn from different companies, people with a lot of experience. So just make it into a lifetime pursuit to discover core values, how to communicate more effectively. What are some additional tips that you can do to better reflect who you are as a person, or what core values you should study more to kind of internalize and become a better professional. Okay, all right, good luck. Now, below this, now you'll be presented with a lot of different cases. So I'll explain a little bit more about how to proceed with those.